Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well and find yourself in really good spirits. I hope you had a good weekend so far and are looking forward to the rest of today. I recently made a video about having pride and whether I thought God wanted me to have it. And the answer was no, right? It says clearly that He sees those who are prideful from afar, and that actually uses the word detests. So it doesn't get much clearer than that. That said, in response to the video, a channel supporter, my cyber sister, Paula, who always has, good comments and that I appreciate, mentioned the 7 heavenly virtues when we discussed that pride was one of the 7 deadly sins, right? And so I hadn't heard about the 7 heavenly virtues, and I've had a lifestyle of Bible study, so um, I thought that was interesting. But a lot of my Bible study was with JWs, and seems more like Catholic doctrine. But nonetheless, I think the message is still the right message and a good one. And so I did a little bit of research because I said I would talk about this in a video. And I learned that there's actually 7 heavenly virtues, and then there's 7 capital virtues. And the 7 capital virtues are the ones that stand opposite of the 7 deadly sins. And the 7 heavenly virtues consist of cardinal virtues and theological virtues. And so I'll read here from Wikipedia what those are. And so it says the 4 cardinal virtues were first defined by 4th century theologian Ambrose as temperance, justice, prudence, and fortitude. These were also named as cardinal virtues by Augustine of Hippo and were subsequently adopted by the Catholic Church. They are described as human virtues in Catholic catechism. Prior to Ambrose, these 4 qualities were identified by the Greek philosopher Plato as necessary character traits of a good man, and were discussed by other ancient authors such as Cicero. They can also be found in the Jewish Book of Wisdom, which states that wisdom teaches moderation and prudence, righteousness and fortitude, and nothing in life is more useful than these. Now, the theological virtues are the remaining 3, and those were named by the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 13. And it says, so faith, hope, love remain. These 3, but the greatest of these is love. And the word love, agape in Greek, is translated in the King James Bible as charity. So usually you hear charity as one of the virtues, and that was translated from the word love. And so the 7 capital virtues, which are the ones that are opposite the 7 deadly sins, and those are lust, idolatry, greed, discord, indulgence, wrath, and pride. The virtues are chastity. So love, or no, actually that would be charity. My bad. You know what? I'm going to take a step back here. And I apologize for this. And so going back to the theological virtues of faith, hope, and love, the traditional understanding of the difference between the cardinal virtues, which are the first 4, and the theological virtues, which are the last 3, is that the last 3 are not fully accessible to humans in their natural state without the assistance of God. So you really can't have faith or hope or love without God is what the understanding is, right? So let's let's go back to them and start at what each of them would mean to me. Prudence is being wise and not rash. In the deadly sins, you have wrath, which is you're overstimulated to anger and hatred and let that make you act irrationally. And it doesn't have to be full. You don't have to hate someone to be angry and be irrational. And you could be justifiably angry and still be irrational in your response, meaning what made you angry is something that should make anyone angry. It could have been an injustice, but blowing up that person's house is not a rational response to what happened, right? And so that's wrath. And in the virtues, prudence is letting wisdom dictate how you act. And I can even take this to a secular level for you with The Art of War and Sun Tzu. In the preface of several versions, it has a story that says that the greatest general, the one you want, is not the one that is quick to rush a river or beard a tiger, but rather one who will assess the situation and recognizing that there still might be danger and goes into the situation anyways, but did so having minimized the risk of danger and maximized the return on investment for that action. So it's not being cowardly, because you'll still take the risk, but you'll step back, analyze the situation, and then take a calculated risk as opposed to just rushing in because without thought. And that's kind of baffled me in a way, because I know in street culture, sometimes you hear you got to get down where you're mad at, and as soon as you were disrespected, you got off, and even rap, SIBO talks about that, right? But the Art of War does not teach that. The Art of War teaches prudence as well. And maybe it's blasphemous to compare the Art of War to what's being said in the Bible, but I'm trying to make this applicable so that folks do value prudence however it fits and don't cause unnecessary damage to themselves and others. The next one is justice, and that's fairness. You treat people fairly. You don't play favorites and oppress someone because it's not convenient or what have you. So in advocacy circles, I've seen, people who speak of justice commit injustice. And what you always want to make sure that people are being treated with the same God-given dignity that you were given. Basically. Temperance. Now, that often means, not drinking, being sober, not prone to overindulgence. And so the corresponding deadly sin to that would be gluttony. You overdo it. And, applying it to food maybe. I have been fasting for a long time now and losing weight, feeling better. And that's having temperance. And I'm not doing it because I'm some person that always practiced these values. In fact, I might have, you might have been able to aptly describe me as a glutton. I would overeat. I would eat everything and a lot. And I'd go places. I'm having appetizers, main course, desserts, drinks, and then doing that shit at home too. And it was not good. And um, if you're not careful, that leads to diseases, diabetes, heart disease. You smoke too much, cancer, COPD, asthma. And so temperance is, not overdoing it, and doing it in a way that doesn't lead to waste or overconsumption. Again, moderation. I've known of people who've worked themselves to death, um, drank themselves to death. All that is from a lack of temperance. The next virtue is fortitude. Hope. You stay solid. You believe no matter what is being thrown at you in your convictions. If you are trying to achieve a goal and it's not happening for you, and maybe you see others achieving that goal, but they're doing it in ways that you wouldn't have done it. You stay, you have fortitude. You stay with your convictions, and you know that sooner or later, if you're doing the right thing and being the best person you can be, not what someone else wants you to be, I believe your tribe will find you. I have hope. I am not trying to be anyone else's channel. I'm not trying to cater to others. I'm just being me, and I know that eventually my tribe will find me. It might not be the folks I've been talking to, but they'll find me. And I think that's having fortitude. It's having hope. Oh, actually, I'm wrong, because in the next three, hope is included. So, but fortitude does mean, you stay solid in your beliefs, not solid as far as other people's values and what they define it as, but you can look at yourself in the mirror and know you were true to you. So the next theological virtues, the ones that you need God to have, is faith. And to me, faith is believing in something you haven't seen. And as it applies to people, I guess it's giving people the benefit of the doubt. But if you've seen stuff from them and you don't agree, that's not giving the benefit of the doubt. Giving the benefit of the doubt is when you first meet them, you meet them with an open mind. And then, depending on how they carry themselves, you decide if that's what's gonna keep you on the right path of fortitude and justice and temperance and prudence. The next one is hope. And that's not giving up. It kind of goes with fortitude, I think. Tupac would talk about being hopeless all the time. And from an academic perspective, there's a person who came up with this theory of human development and it having several stages. And each stage builds upon the previous one. And the very first stage is hope versus hopelessness. And I think in a way, reading this now, some of that does reflect the values, shared here. Because one of the stages is industry versus not industry. Are you going to be a productive person, or are you going to be slothy, as one of the deadly sins would be, right? And the hope versus hopelessness, as described in that academic world, is the first stage of human development, and it happens when you're a baby. And some babies are just not picked up. They're not loved. They come into a cold world when they start, and even before they can talk, they already have developed a sense of hopelessness. Those are the demons that people talk about. My inner demons. And in that academic world, it was also described as hopelessness as you can't trust anyone. And if you can't trust anyone, that is a sad life. It's a hard life, and it's not conducive to being happy. So you need hope. And then the last one is charity. And as mentioned earlier, charity was originally love and then translated in the King James Version to charity. And this is what I'll say about charity. Love. I often say that if you want to be happy, you need to have good self-esteem. You have to feel good about yourself. And the way you do that is you challenge yourself to things you've never done before. And when you do them, you start to develop this sense of confidence that you could do stuff even though you've never done it. And if you have that sense of confidence, you're freer to try new things, to see the world, to accomplish more, because you're not safe in your little bubble doing the same thing every day. And once you do that and you get that sense of confidence, you start to grow. As mentioned, because now you're willing to try new things, try for different jobs, just you grow. And you could grow and be successful and have a lot of material things, and that won't necessarily mean that you're happy. So what I tell people is that in addition to that, because this is self-esteem, how you're looking at yourself, right? Self-esteem, how you esteem yourself. You have to give without wanting anything in return. And that is charity. That is love. Love is supposed to be you give, and you don't do it to get love back. You do it because you just want to give. And when you do that, you feel better about yourself. It's not just about you. And then when you look in the mirror, you know that you love and you give, as well as grow yourself. And that leads to good self-esteem and happiness. So, again, the 4 cardinal virtues were prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude. The theological virtues were faith, hope, and charity. And those 7 put together are the 7 heavenly virtues. The cardinal or capital virtues are chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, kindness, patience, and humility. Chastity is the opposite of lust, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. Temperance is the opposite of gluttony, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. Charity, love, giving without wanting in return, is the opposite of greed, chasing material things, doing to get stuff in return because you're greedy. Diligence, you stay with it. Maybe that was the one that was for fortitude. You stay constant with what you believe, and you don't be wishy-washy. Although it is a wise people to change their mind. I'm not advocating having a closed mind, but you're diligent in what you say you do and what you want to do, as opposed to sloth, where it's a sin because you're not living up to your God-given talents. You're not trying to reach them. You're lazy. Then there's kindness, which is opposite of envy. Envy is, you want what other people have. You want to be them. And I think that's a lack of gratitude for everything you do have. Then you have patience as the virtue opposing wrath. Patience, again, is to Sun Tzu what makes a great general. Don't try to be a general and you don't have the virtues of a great general, according to the greatest military strategist, arguably, ever. You don't want to be the one that rushes to Beard a Tiger and Rush a River. You might get fucked up. Really, you might get fucked up running down there thinking you're going to do it because you're mad. Matsumoto in the Seven Rings says people like that, you just lure them into traps and slay them there. You know what I mean? And it could be metaphorical. I'm not saying like go kill someone, but you could ask questions that lead people into saying stupid shit that only hurts them because they're wrathful. They have these sins as the makeup of their character, and it's easy to play those. You can't play these other ones. But then there's humility. Throughout the Bible, God says he loves the humble, to be with the oppressed. And the sin there is pride, which I've already made a video on. I don't need to go into it anymore. It's kind of a long video. Thank you again, Paula, for bringing the 7 heavenly virtues to my attention and helping me learn something by doing that. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Much love. Happy Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. What's left of it. Bye.